One of the biggest patches in Helldivers 2 has just dropped. They finally buffed the Railgun, but at the cost of nerfing the Quasar cannon. Now, I've already tested the Railgun, and it's very, very interesting now, I must say, so I'll be sharing that in this video. I've also organized these patch notes by weapon type, and will be providing timestamps for all of those weapon types, so feel free to skip around to the weapons you are most interested, and if you enjoy informational Helldivers content, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's dive right in. Now, one other thing real quick before we get into the balance changes is that the community manager in the Discord said a couple days ago we are also going to see a hotfix this week, and it is worth noting they didn't list the spear lock on, but they said they did fix that about 3 weeks ago, so we gotta wait for that hotfix this week. I just want to let you guys know not to be upset that they didn't mention the spear, and that we are getting another hotfix this week, so hopefully that ends up being on there. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's go ahead and start this video off with assault rifles. First on the list is the Adjudicator. They made full auto the new default firing mode, they reduced some of the recoil, they increased the magazines from 6 to 8, and you can pick up all 8 magazines from a single supply pack, and they turned this thing into an assault rifle, which is very interesting. Now, this is actually one weapon I already played with because I liked the feeling of this weapon. My initial thoughts was that they needed to double the amount of ammo, but they only gave it 2 more magazines. I will say that's definitely an improvement, obviously, but if you like this gun, you probably need to stick near some ammo boxes. Next up, we've got the base Liberator. They've increased the damage from 55 to 60, and then we've got the Liberator Concussive. They've increased the damage from 55 to 65. So that is very interesting for both the Liberators. I'm glad they buffed those weapons. Now on to the Marksman Rifles. They've increased the damage of the Diligence Counter Sniper from 128 to 140, and they've improved the ergonomics of this weapon. And with the regular Diligence, they've increased the damage from 112 to 125. Now, what'll be interesting with these weapons is if the regular Diligence can now one-shot Devastators if you land a headshot. I know it used to not be able to. And same with the Diligence Counter Sniper. I know that it could one-shot Devastators from closer, but it had drop-off damage where it wouldn't anymore. So if you guys are fans of the Diligence, go ahead and try those on Devastators now. Now let's hop into energy weapons, and first up we've got the Sickle. And this one got a nerf. They decreased the amount of ice from 6 to 3. But don't worry, that is the only thing that changed about this weapon. Personally, I feel that given that this was an infinite ammo weapon, it did have a lot of ice, and you didn't really have to be careful with how you were wasting the bullets. You could reload this as often as you wanted, so I suppose this is a fair change. Next up, we got the Scythe. They increased the damage from 300 to 350, and then they did the same thing where they took the ice down from 6 down to only 4 in the reserve now. And the Scythe is a weapon I love as well, so I'll be sure to hop in the game and try that one out. And last on the list of energy weapons, we've got the Blitzer. They increased the fire rate. They increased the shots per minute from 30 to 45, basically giving this a 50% boost in fire rate. That sounds pretty significant, and I'll have to try this one out as well. All right, so moving on to the explosive weapons. First on the list is the Eruptor. Now, I haven't tested this weapon, but it does sound like it got a significant nerf. First off, they decreased the number of magazines from 12 to 6. That is half the ammo now gone. Now, this seems like a significant nerf because they've also reduced the explosion damage drop off. I'm assuming this means from the center to where the full radius of the explosion goes. Basically, the further the enemies are from where the bullet lands, they probably take less splash damage essentially. I haven't exactly tested this one out, so I'm not sure how heavy-handed this nerf is, but I would have rather seen them do this over 2 patches rather than giving it 2 nerfs in one. Next, we've got the explosive crossbow. Now, I'm not going to say this got specifically nerfed because it also received some buffs. Overall, I would say they gave this thing a rebalance. So first on the list, they gave it a slightly smaller explosion, but they increased the stagger. Then they also decreased the number of maximum mags from 12 to 8, but they made it so you pick up 8 from a supply pack. You used to only be able to pick up 6, which was kind of weird that it had 12, but you could only get half from a single supply pack. So now you get 8 total, but whenever you pick up a supply pack, it fully reloads it. And then it also says slight reduction in ergonomics. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't know if this is easier to shoot now or harder to shoot. I guess we'll find out later. And then finally, finally, we got muzzle velocity increased. So again, I don't know if this thing projectile shoots faster now, like travels to the enemy faster possibly. It has higher velocity. I'll have to hop in the game and find out. Next, we've got the Punisher Plasma, and this thing got the same treatment. Another rebalancing. They decreased the maximum mags from 12 to 8, but made it so you pick up all 8 from a supply pack. It was kind of the same thing where you were only getting 6, and this was always weird to me as well, but that's totally fine. But what they did do was they increased the projectile speed, but it will still keep a similar range. And they've also decreased the damage fall off on the explosion, so I believe they actually buffed the outer edges of the splash radius for this weapon. So I believe this weapon overall got buffed. Now, just a quick shout out to Phase Shifter. I watched him playing with the Punisher Plasma. He's streaming right now. I'm gonna put his link in the description. Go check him out. He's testing all these balance changes live. And when he was playing with the Punisher Plasma, that bullet travel speed looked really good. And I have been telling people that this weapon is actually very powerful. It's just that the bullet projectile thing, a lot of people didn't want to get used to. I highly recommend looking out for the Punisher Plasma after this patch. And finally, in the explosive weapons, the Dominator received a nerf from 300 damage to 275. This isn't a giant nerf. I'm curious how this affects against larger enemies like Hulk heat sinks. All right, now we get to go into the support weapons, starting off with the Quasar cannon. They increased the recharge time by a full 5 seconds. Instead of a 10-second recharge, it now has a 15-second recharge. And I just gotta warn you guys about overhyping weapons. I've been saying since day one that this is a side grade to the recoilless rifle and the EAT. It did the same damage as those options, except it had different upsides and downsides. Essentially, this gun now only fires 4 times per minute if it has a 15-second cooldown. And I gotta say, this nerf is completely unwarranted, but the community has been completely overhyping this weapon, and we all know that they like to nerf the guns that people are playing the most. So I already know a lot of people are gonna be upset about this one in the comments section down below. So next, when it comes to the support weapons, we've got the laser cannon. They increased the damage, but they also reduced the damage versus large volume bodies. I don't know why they phrased it as large volume bodies. However, I think this is a buff because it sounds like it's gonna get increased damage versus medium enemies, but hopefully do the same damage versus Hulks and whatnot. I was actually working on a laser cannon guide and got all my footage last night of the laser cannon, so this is one I'm going to be testing because I'm going to go get all the footage for a new laser cannon guide, so be sure to subscribe because that one's going to be coming soon. All right, and next we've got the Railgun. Now, they buffed this weapon. They increased the armor penetration in both safe mode and unsafe mode now, but they reduced the stagger force. So I will tell you guys, this thing no longer staggers Bile Titans. You guys already see I'm playing with it in all of the background footage. However, I was able to kill a Bile Titan in either 8 or 9 shots. By the way, the Railgun now charges to basically 99%. It doesn't actually explode until that meter is completely full. And it seems as if it does more damage if you're up to 99%. So I have to do more testing with this, but the fact I was able to basically full charge this and kill a Bile Titan in 8 or 9 shots, and by the way, those were not perfect shots, I'm wondering if in team play, if I'm able to actually sit down and charge those shots all the way, if I can kill Bile Titans a lot quicker. I got to do more testing with this one. Now, one other thing I noticed was that this is penetrating through small enemies. So if you have enemies lined up with each other, you can shoot one railgun shot and kill at least 2 of them. I don't want to confirm that you could kill 3 or 4 of them, but this thing is actually piercing through enemies, small enemies at least, and killing the ones behind it. Next, we've got the heavy machine gun, and they gave this thing a crosshair in 3rd person mode, so heavy machine gun launcher mains are eating, except you guys need to increase the mag size of this because most of us don't want to reload a gun every 3 seconds. And then next on the list, we've got the airburst rocket launcher. It will no longer detonate when shot near stratagems, HMG turrets, sentries, and resupplies, and other Helldivers. And they also reduced the proximity radius. Now, what I will say is I did test this on resupplies. It does still trigger on resupply packs on the ground. It was just a very quick test, unless it is triggering for some other reason. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to work with this gun a bit more to make it not, like, they really need to give this thing a delayed fuse time, but I guess it is what it is. And then finally, with support weapons, we've got the recoilless rifle. Number one, they said they fixed the reload bug when you cancel the second stage of the reload, and on top of that, the superior packaging ship module now works, and I did test that module because I was playing with the railgun in the background, and I was getting all my railgun ammo back on resupplies, and that is absolutely a buff to the recoilless rifle as well, so this thing has way better ammo economy finally. And now we've got our list of secondary weapons to go through. Number one, we've got the Redeemer. They increased the recoil on this gun, so this gun got a nerf. Next up, we've got the base pistol, the Peacemaker, increased damage from 60 to 75. That's pretty cool. And then we've got the Senator, the Mr. Big Iron on his hip. They increased the damage from 150 to 175, and they finally added a speed loader, at least when it's fully empty, and it speeds up the reload on empty considerably. And then the last secondary, we've got the Dagger. They increased the damage from 150 to 200, and I gotta say, that is a 33% buff. The Dagger was pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but it actually had its niche uses, and I'm going to be testing the Dagger out specifically out of all these buffs. And then we've got both Guard Dog backpacks. They reduced the damage of the Guard Dog laser by 30%. I don't know why. Once again, just nerfing things that are good and that are popular, but they've increased the damage of the regular Guard Dog, so I guess maybe try out the regular Guard Dog this patch and see how it goes. And finally, since we're just covering most of the balance changes, they did mention they nerfed burning damage by 15%. I'm hoping this means that fire tornadoes won't instantly kill you. I'm hoping this means that flame hulks won't instantly kill you either. And I suppose it's worth mentioning they haven't fixed damage over time if you're not the host, which is unfortunate, but we are getting a hotfix later this week. And then we've got a couple stratagems. They increase the health on the machine gun sentry to match other sentries, and they increase the health on the Tesla tower by 33%. And this one is huge. Armors with armor rating above 100 now also reduce damage on headshots, but I will say the phrasing of this one has me a bit confused. I'm curious if heavy armor reduces headshots more than medium armor. Like, does it scale with the actual armor number, or is it just a flat reduction whether you're wearing medium or heavy? This one's going to require some testing as well. And now I'm just going to throw the bug fixes and the crash fixes up on the screen. I mainly wanted to cover the balance changes, but if you guys are interested in the specific bug fixes and crash fixes, you could pause the video and read that. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.